G'day, let's have a look at this Olympus 10x21 RC II WP binocular. So this is an extremely compact set. You can see how small that is. It literally fits in the palm of my hand when it's folded up, but then when it's expanded, obviously it expands wide enough to fit comfortably for the width of your eyes. But again, really the key feature and the reason why I went with this specific model is just because of how compact it is. This is fantastic. It does then come with a little bag as well. So it's got a couple of lens covers. You can put that at the front, and then a really nice soft bag. And what I really like about this is it's really foldable. It is super nice and soft. So when you actually put the binocular in, close it up, obviously it takes up quite a bit more room than just the binocular itself, but the case will actually conform to it and you can squeeze this in a bag. If you're going hiking, traveling, anything like that, it will then fit into a really nice small space. So again, that's my favorite feature of this one. It is also waterproof, so that's what that WP rating is. And again, as I said, magnification of this one is 10 times, and then 21 is just the millimeter width of these front lenses. So I find that 21 really isn't an issue if you're looking at things during daytime or if there's enough light. 21 millimeters is more than enough. So if you've got a bigger one, obviously you will take in more light and there'll be a better picture and a higher field of view as well. If you are doing any nighttime viewing or low light condition, you might want to consider with going with a bigger lens out the front because 21 will be quite small. But again, I use this primarily for hiking, for plane spotting, bird watching, or even just when traveling. I like to have this in my bag. Again, it doesn't take up much room. A little bit more about the construction. It feels really nice. It's got a bit of weight to it, but it's not too heavy. It just feels like it's built well. So the material is really nice. The front here, or the two eye caps, do swivel out, so you can change that relief. So if you do want to view it without glasses, you can just have it straight on like that, or you can actually twist that and then you can put your eyes to it and you've got that eye relief there. So it is adjustable. Although most of the time without glasses, I actually even find just having the lenses back, having them nice and flat, and you just align them up with your eyes and hold them forward a little bit. That works quite well, but obviously personal preference there. Once you do actually unfold it, it is quite a bit of resistance there, so it will stay. It's not going to wiggle around too much. So once you do adjust that in your hand, again, depending on how you hold it, you're not really going to have issues with that as well. The waterproof feature of it is good if you do go hiking and you do want to actually go through water trails, anything like that, or again, you are caught in rain, you don't have to worry about damaging this at all. You'll just have to wipe the lenses after they dry off a little bit. And you can see this one here specifically is a green color, so the green overmold of everything is a really nice grippy rubber, and then the rest is just a black kind of hard rubber. Apart from these eye caps, they do have a little bit of a soft coating to them. So I think that's when they rest up against your eyes, they're just a little bit more comfortable and softer. And then this up here as well is all just plastic, but just a black hard plastic. So there we go. And then on the right side here is you've just got that adjustment for only the single one. So if your eyes mismatch, you can actually change that focus slightly back and forth to actually adjust. So both of your eyes will look through this comfortably. Now, as I said, I've had this for quite a while. I love it. I use it almost on a daily basis, really every few days. You can do some bird and plane spotting, which is really nice. And again, for travel, I take it with me. It doesn't actually have that traditional lanyard that on both sides. It only has a hook on the side here, and that actually is metal, so it'll most likely be aluminium. So you can see when I peel that through, the anodization has come off, and you can see that exposed metal. So that will most likely be aluminium, which will actually be the base for both of these lenses, which is good because that's what you want. That's where the optics are. So you want those alignments to be precise. So that's actually fantastic. I'm really happy with that. I thought that was plastic, but either way, metal makes it way better. So that's good. Now, all of that I basically talked about are all positives. I really like this. The only complaint that I actually do have with this binoculars, and it isn't just this one specifically, I've had a pair exactly the same before this. So both pairs, when you actually adjust the focus up here, so you've got this center wheel, which is really nice and comfortable to adjust, really nice and grippy. When you're holding it, you can adjust it kind of with any finger you want. No issues with that. My only complaint is there is quite a bit of resistance, but then when you stop and back off the other way, there just seems to be this little bit of wiggle. So you can kind of see that. Just what I'm wiggling there, that actually has a very loose wiggle to it, whereas the rest of it will have much higher friction. Now, I don't actually know if that's a feature or if that's a flaw. It could potentially be a feature because you could adjust it roughly to the focus you want, and then you can kind of fine tune it by just kind of moving it around a little bit. Or it could actually just be a flaw, and it just happens to be a flaw in this design, that it is a little bit loose. Personally, even if it's a feature, I would much rather just have it consistent resistance all the way through. But if you actually have these binoculars or have used them, please leave a comment down below, because I really want to know if that is a feature or a flaw. That is my only complaint, and it's not really that big. When you use it, you get used to it, and it's quite fine. Other than that, absolutely fantastic set. Really like it. So I'll put a few shots up here of just looking at different objects just so you can see. It is a little bit hard to capture on camera, and obviously there's a lot of wiggle, so sorry about that. What you can actually view through the lenses is really nice and clear. So now I actually just want to bring in this other set. So this one here is just a $15-20 set, just a cheap Chinese model. But what you can see here is this is 12 times zoom, this one's 10, so a little bit more, but not really that noticeable in most situations. But this one has 32mm objectives out the front, whereas this one actually has 21. So you can see that is a substantial difference in the size, which really just means that this here will be a lot better at low light conditions. However, again, the Olympus one here is almost half the size, right? You can see that. For that smaller size, I'd much prefer the Olympus. It is also a name brand. The clarity is really, really good. The Olympus was about $50 whereas again, this one's about $15 If you're thinking of getting either one, if you're gonna actually want that little bit more zoom, but be careful, because the more zoom you have, the more wobbly the picture is. As you actually hold that, your hands shake, and the more zoom you have, the more that wobble is gonna be amplified. So I find 12 is okay, but it's kind of pushing it. You really want to get something to lean up against, or a tripod for 12, whereas 10 I think is the absolute sweet spot. Because if you go with 8 times zoom, you're going to have even less wobble, but you're going to be zoomed in less. Whereas I find 10 is probably the minimum that I like for again, for bird watching and plane spotting, or looking at things at quite a distance. I find 10 is really good. And this one here, if you hold your hand quite steady, you really don't have that much shake in it at all. So again, I just absolutely love this. I can't speak highly enough of this set. But if you are considering of getting a set, and you're thinking between maybe a $50 set or a $15 set, I would highly recommend going for the $50 set, or for the more expensive set. Really go for as expensive set as you can afford, because trust me, there is not a time where you're going to look through the binoculars and you're going to think, oh, the picture is too clear, right? You're never going to have that thought. Whereas with these ones here, they are slightly misaligned. On the edges, you can see there's a lot more distortion, because they're just cheaper lenses, and that higher magnification will cause a little bit more distortion. Every time I look through these, it is very noticeable that they are a cheap set, right? Again, not much wrong with them, and if you're just using them occasionally, or starting out, or just have a smaller budget, you're not going to go wrong. You're going to be happy enough with these. They will be fine. But again, spend as much as you can on binoculars. I think this sort of $50 is absolutely fantastic. This is clear enough for almost daily use. But if you obviously do use a professional set, or want to buy one set and have it for the rest of your life and happy to spend a bit more, then again, look at some high quality and even more expensive sets, because you're not going to regret it. So that's it. Quick overview of this Olympus set, and just a little bit of a comparison with a generic set. But again, really love this set, highly recommend it. I will put links down to this below. So if you are interested in this set or anything else off Amazon, if you use those links, I do get a little bit of a commission. So that is really appreciated if you use that. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't make any difference to you, except for clicking that link, but it really does support the channel, so I can keep these videos coming for you. And there we go. Thanks very much for watching, and have a good one.